Downstairs in our house, in our lounge dining room, we've got two of these radiators. Our little girl, who's now 9 months old, likes to use them to climb up. I've decided to make some radiator covers out of materials I've got lying around in the garage. I'm going to look to incorporate a bit of a shelf on the top, so I'm going to make them and see how it goes. I found this 15mm MDF in my wood pile, and I think there's just about enough to make it. Because I'm cutting MDF, I always use one of these masks. This is a pretty good one. It's got push to check filters on, and you can make sure you've got a really tight seal, and it's MDF rated, so comes in handy. I'll also open the garage door and the back door just to make sure I've got a good bit of airflow, because there'll be some residual dust even with the dust extraction system. That's all the pieces cut for the main frame. I've got 2 pieces for each side. That's these, and then for the front I've got the upright and then the top and the bottom. I recently bought this budget biscuit jointer, so I haven't used it very much. I thought I'd give it a try for building the radiator cover, so let's give it a go. Because I'm using 15mm MDF, I'm using these number 10 biscuits, which on the packet it says are for material between 13 and 18mm, so I'm going to use them. Hopefully you can see, but I've set the depth of where I'm going to put the biscuit to about 7.5mm, so it goes smack bang in the middle of the MDF. I've made a couple of test cuts in some scrap 15mm MDF, so it looks like the biscuits are lining up pretty much in the middle, so I think I'm good to go. To put the biscuits in, I need to mark where the centre is, so I'm going to do that. I'm using this Incra right angle rule. It's probably the most expensive ruler in the world. It was about 35 quid, but I don't know if you can see, it's got little indentations where you put an engineering pencil in, and it means you get really precise measurements. If anyone's interested, I'll put a link up to where you can buy it on Amazon. As I said, it's expensive, but it is really handy and really enables accurate markings, so I do use it a hell of a lot. I've put all the biscuit holes in, all the work pieces, so now I'm going to glue them together and insert the biscuits. Once I've glued it to clamp it together, I'm using what's probably the world's largest sash clamp. I haven't got any smaller. The smaller clamps have got a, rather frustratingly, just a little bit too short, so I'm going to use this big one and hopefully it'll do the job. I'm using some little bits of material, scraps on each end, just to protect the MDF when I compress it. That's the centerpiece clamped up, so I'll leave it overnight now to dry. I've removed the clamp and the glue's completely dry, and it's given what seems to be a really good joint. This is the side that isn't going to be visible on the radiator cover. And on the other side, I've already given it a pretty light sanding with the orbital sander along the joint, and you can't really see it. Once it's painted, it'll be almost invisible. So now I'm going to join the other pieces on the sides. When I'm gluing the joints together, I'm using the same lines that I used to align the biscuit joiner, and I'm lining them up on those lines to make sure that the work pieces are going to be joined in exactly the right place. I've removed all the clamps now and there's a bit of glue remaining, so I'm just going to take it off with a scraper and then hit it with the orbital sander. So that's all the joint all sanded now. There's absolutely no line that you can feel in the joint. It's all nice and smooth. I sanded it with a really high grit sandpaper in the orbital sander. It's 400 grit, so it's kept the sort of silky sheen that you tend to get on the top of NBF, and it's a nice finish. The way I've designed it is that these side pieces are just going to butt up to the edge like so. So I'm going to put some biscuits along here but at a right angle to the side piece. I don't want to put any biscuits where there's the cross pieces because I want to be able to clamp it from the inside. So the biscuits are going to go here, 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 and maybe down on the outside. I'll see how I get on. Before putting the biscuit holes in the side pieces, I've marked the line across the side piece so I can see it when I'm putting the biscuit jointer against the side piece and putting the biscuit in there like that. To put the biscuits in the side piece, I've clamped it in my vise and I've also clamped the sides together. This is just to make it a bit thicker to stop the jointer rocking as I put the holes in the side.